Don't cast your pearls before swine. So who you calling a swine, boy? I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I want you to think for a moment about yesterday's conversation or message, however you want to label it. The idea that there are those people who you'll influence that you're just not going to see the results of pouring into them come back in their life. And I agree. One of the commenters said, I'm not responsible, so to speak, for the outcome of what I pour into them. If I pour into them and they still take it and go the wrong way, that's not my responsibility. I agree 100% with that. But I also agree that if you're given a certain level of influence or a certain type of a seed to throw into someone's life, and you choose, rather than giving it to the people who would feed on it, teach a man to fish or give a man a fish, would you rather throw that seed somewhere where it has a better chance of actually improving someone's life, as opposed to in the driveway, on the concrete, on the stony ground? See, the job of a good teacher, a good equipper, is to equip the ground to be ready to receive the soil, the seed that's thrown in that soil, so that rather than being choked up by the weeds or snatched away by the birds or blown away with the wind, that it has a chance to take root and make an impact and make a difference, to make a lasting change. But if you keep following some of these stories along, you might remember the fig tree that was held accountable for being in the spring. It was the season. It was the time that fig tree was supposed to be bearing fruit. And although it had all of the resources given to it, it did not make figs. And so it was dead, cursed, and then cut down and thrown in the fire. Well, sure, it was a living fig tree. And you could have gone and fertilized it and treated it and all kinds of stuff, and no, it was just dead because it wouldn't bear fruit. Now the question is, how often do we yield that influence in a place where we know there's not going to be any return? Now let me classify something really quick in a matter of distinction. I believe that as leaders and influencers, there's a certain level of something that we've learned. There's something that we've accomplished. There's something that we've perceived through knowledge, through experience, those things that we've worked ourselves through, things that we've overcome, things that we've understood, that honestly, they're not for everyone. An example might be, there's a reason that a pharmacist and a dentist both have licenses to handle specific chemicals. There's a reason that a physician has a license to practice medicine, to do surgeries, to cut open bodies. Not just everybody learns how to handle a scalpel, and there's a reason for that. Not everyone is conditioned for that. Not everyone has the mental fortitude or the character to have that responsibility in their life. Even to carry a firearm, there's training involved in that. If you're going to be a licensed handgun owner, there's training involved in that. To be a law enforcement officer is an entirely different thing. That's not just licensed to carry a weapon. There's a whole lot of responsibility. The same with being a firefighter versus being an arsonist. One understands fire, the other one knows how to put it out. So there's a level of knowledge and understanding that goes along with that. And there are certain things that leaders have discovered, have researched, have figured out, have experienced. They're not for everyday people. Certain understandings of human psychology and human behavior that are not for everyday people. Now that doesn't mean that we shouldn't love them. And here's where I want to draw a line of differentiation. Loving people and giving to them and pouring into them and giving them compassion and hope and understanding, that's absolutely necessary. That is a human condition. That should be the expectation of everybody you know. To walk by a stranger on the street and to love on them. To pour into them. To encourage them. To build them up. Yes, that's leadership. But there's a place where those who get your greatest talent, your greatest attention, your greatest time, who get those deep secrets that you have researched, that you have fought for, that you have lived through, the challenges that you've overcome, those people, they need a whole different level of attention because they have a whole different level of responsibility for what you give them. Now, I can't necessarily change the soil on the ground everywhere I throw seeds, everywhere that I offer influence, everywhere that I love on people. But once I've determined what that soil looks like, I do believe that leaders are held to account for where they continue to sow seed, to fertilize, and to look to harvest. If you're trying to harvest pearls from little clams the size of a quarter, I think you're way ahead of time. If you're a fig tree and you're not bearing any fruit at all, I think there's some question to the way that you're handling what you've been given to work with. And if you've been given massive amounts of influence, just look at the many role models. Miley Cyrus is a good example. From Hannah Montana to Miley Cyrus, that transition was tough for her. But there were hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of little girls following her life, following her lifestyle, people that she was throwing seeds into, that she had a dramatic impact on their life. I believe there will be a day that she'll be held responsible for the influence that she had. Even though it was hands off, alle oxen free, I didn't live their life. I don't know what they were doing. The way that she lived her life impacted theirs. And I believe that as leaders, we should be responsible for the influence that we offer and give to other people at every level. There was a reason that 5,000 gathered around for that one infamous teacher to deliver what he believed was impactful, life-changing information for them. There's also a reason that in just a matter of days, those same 5,000 people completely turned their back on him and left only 12 to really listen to what he had to say. And even of those 12 who stayed close, who followed everything, who went through it all with him, 3 were selected to be the ones in his inner circle. There's a reason for that. And I challenge you as leaders to watch your influence, to be a steward of your influence, to guard those that you pour into, to what degree and what level you influence them. Sure, love everyone, but be selective who you influence and bring along with you. I'm J Loren Norris for Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.